My fellow Americans, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have traveled long distances to be here this afternoon, but our journey began 58 years ago, on December the 7th, 1941. On that day, men who looked like us piloted planes that dropped bombs on Pearl Harbor, on Hickam Field, and Inouye. It was a sad day for many of us. We knew that the times ahead would be difficult. And lo and behold, about 3 weeks after the attack, the Selective Service System of the United States issued a directive designating all of us to be 4C. For those of you who are not familiar with the designation, 1A means you're physically fit. 4F, something's wrong with you. 4C is the dreaded designation, enemy alien. So here we were, young Americans who considered ourselves to be patriotic, law-abiding, suddenly made enemies of the state. Then, soon thereafter, about a month later, another executive order was issued, this time authorizing the United States Army to establish 10 concentration camps to place Japanese Americans and their parents, not for any commission of any crime, but because they were Japanese. That was their crime. And so many of us gathered together to petition this government. We sent letters, we sent resolutions, and about a year later, the President of the United States responded by issuing an executive order declaring that Americanism is not and has never been a matter of race or color. Americanism is a matter of mind and heart, and authorized the formation of a special combat team made up of Japanese American volunteers. The response was electric. In Hawaii, 85% of the eligible men stepped forward to volunteer. But the most amazing thing was that thousands who were then residing in these camps behind barbed wires stepped forward to volunteer, to stand in harm's way, to defend the country that had incarcerated them. After training, strange names began to appear on the pages of our newspapers. Japanese names associated with places like Casino, with Guadalcanal, with Iwo Jima, with Bruyères, with Arno River, with Rome. Many thousands participated. It was a challenge that was very bloody. For example, in one battle that we were honored to participate in, the Battle of the Lost Battalion, a battle that took approximately 4 days. But during those 4 days, 2,000 men were sent to hospitals and 300 perished. I still remember that morning when we gathered to receive the commendation of the division commander. And all of the company commanders yelled out, E Company, all present, accounted for. F Company, all present, accounted for. The usual retreat parade type formal formation. The only difference was that my company, E Company, was the largest company in the regiment. 42 men, 42 officers and men. The smallest company was K Company, 12 men, staff sergeant in charge, and he was the company commander. Years later, the United States Army declared that this battle was one of the 10 most important events in the history of the United States Army. When the war ended, General MacArthur declared that were it not for the work of the Military Intelligence Service, made up of Japanese Americans, the war conceivably could have lasted a little longer. They saved many thousands of American lives. Some have asked us, was this price worth it? Well, today we find our children working on the campuses of this land as professors. We see them in the boardrooms of the great companies of this land as CEOs. We see them in the legislative councils of our states and this nation. Yes, the price was heavy, but it was worth it. I still remember my company commander as we were getting ready to go overseas, assembling the men and telling us, we will have 2 battles. First, to fight fascism. The second, racism. The first will be easy. The second will be difficult. I believe we did pretty well on the first. This memorial is part of the battle to fight racism. We just hope that those who visit this place will be constantly reminded that this is a great country. But this great country, like many others, make mistakes. But this country acknowledged that mistake, apologized for that mistake, and showed to the rest of the world its greatness and its strength and courage. We hope that those who visit this memorial will constantly remind themselves that this should never happen again. So to all of you, God bless you. God bless America.